Well, it's a really good job just defending the arc. We knew we had to do a great job. I mean, Cam Williams, Rowan, Asher Woods have. I mean, you have two of those guys shooting north of 40% in the conference. So to hold those 3 to 1 for 8's a tribute to our guys. And then just overall 3 for 14. I thought we did a good job defending the arc. Usually we can be pretty good in paint points, and I know we won that one by 2, but we and I know they don't count free throws as part of that paint points, but I thought our shot selection in the second half was a lot more deliberate. Not that I thought there were 2 bad shots in the first half, but we kind of shared with the guys at halftime. We were 10 of 18 from 2, and then 2 for 14 from 3. That we just needed to be a lot more selective about when we take those threes and when we should shoot them. And 4 for 7 in the second half. Thought we were way more deliberate, and then we needed to win the rebound battle. So to defend the arc, to win the rebound battle, and then I thought our shot selection in the second half allows us to score 49 points. A lot of that at the free throw line, but I did think we were a lot smarter in the things that we were doing.
What was a key or two of breaking down that matchup zone? You said, be more selective, don't just settle for threes. How did you guys break them down way better in the second half? I think you guys were 65% in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, I mean, we were trying a lot of single stuff, trying to attack a 2 side, and then it really got to where we were trying to put double drags. You had 2 guys setting ball screens and more so attacking a 1. We had some success. Quincy ends up getting a bucket there in the first half off of a cut. I thought we were a little slow on our cuts, but I did think that X and Bijan being able to get in space, if we could get around that second defender going left. We saw the back-to-back threes by X with Bijan going left, being able to throw back, and then we see a lob from Bijan being able to turn the corner to Quincy. But I just thought that we kind of shifted in how we were approaching, and I thought our guys did a good job of understanding who was taking the ball screen, like what to do when the 5 man would step up because they obviously change how they defend, and then what to do when they were guard to guard. So I think some of it was just acumen of our players, and Bijan just keeps hitting career high after career high. So today with 9 assists, I thought he saw the floor pretty well.
How much does it help against a zone like that to have a guy like Bijan who can see the floor, and then having guys like Harlan and Corey that can get to the rim and make really tough jumpers?
Yeah, I did think a key was, we get the left corner 3 from AJ, get the baseline OB at the top of the key from AJ. But I thought X's 2 threes to open the half, I just thought that kind of got the ball rolling. And, if you start missing those, you can tell when players start to feel a little bit tighter. Like, should I not? Is this a good shot? And I thought that was kind of the catalyst that allowed us to go downhill. And, I told the guys at half, if you get it, you got to shoot it. But to be honest with you, we were thinking about those other guys in old boards. And it's rare that we get somebody gets more old boards than we do, but we were trying to retrieve some of that. Fortunately, there wasn't as many to retrieve in the second half.
Coach, this win to get you guys to 500 in conference play, just what does it say, this streak, to get the guys' commitment to improving and getting better?
Yeah, again, you've got older guys, so I think they want to do the things that put us in position. And I mean, minus 2 games, everything's a 1-2. There were a couple of 3 possession games, a 7 point loss in Memphis, 7 point loss at Tulsa. Memphis was closer than that, Tulsa wasn't, but everything else was just 1 and 2 possessions. So I think the guys understood, like, I mean, this isn't like we're losing by double digits night in and night out. Again, minus USF and UTSA. And I just think that we're way more mindful about the discipline that's required, the rebounding that's required. If you look, the defending the 3 point line that's required in order to give ourselves a chance. And, it's translated into wins.
And just for Corey to be more involved when they're doing that matchup zone, it looked like they were really trying to focus on him taking away the middle. How did he get more involved, and what was the solution to that when the middle wasn't really there?
Yeah, the cuts. I thought if you look at it, he does a good job of just cutting and demanding the ball. You can't be stagnant. I thought there were a number of times that we were stagnant, especially in the first half. There's a possession in the second half where we shot fake paint touch, kick out, shot fake paint touch, and then spray it out again. And I just thought that the ball, you've heard you've got to make .5 decisions. I just thought there was way more of a .5 approach than there was in the first half. I thought we were way too stagnant. I didn't think that our pressure on the rim, even though there were quality shots, I did think that we were settling, especially on two. The way that we were scoring was in transition, primarily. And we needed to get something accomplished in the half court. And sometimes it just takes, a little bit of settling in and just seeing everything that's occurring. And then I also think that if you can defend pretty well, you give yourself a chance.
Tulane didn't score their first points for the first 5 minutes of the game. What do you feel like the team did well to start the game defensively?
Well, it's probably different than watching everybody else who played Tulane. Like, we weren't trying to let Rowan, number 7, just get downhill. And I thought Quincy did a really good job. Mate did a really good job of just keeping him, whatever third he was on, whether it was middle third or outer third. I thought they did a good job. Late in the second half, you can see him start to turn corners a little bit better. And they started slipping out of stuff more and caused a little bit of confusion for our bigs. But I did think our rim guys were solid. We weren't great, but I'd give us a B- there. But I will tell you that for the most part, I thought our pick and roll coverage early was really, really good. And that as the F wore on, it kind of, you could tell we were kind of going downhill, and Quincy was getting tired. But I do think a lot of that 8-0 run was on account of pick and roll coverage.
You talked a lot about Bijan, just keeping that mental side so important for him, and then we saw some times where he makes some sloppy turnovers, and just his resilience. How key has that been during the stretch? It seems like he's doing a better job of just keep going forward, not letting those turnovers just kind of derail his game.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, right? He misses a right slot 3, and you can kind of tell watch his shoulders drop, and it's an imperfect game. Like, you're not ever going to be perfect. It's an imperfect game. What you can't do is let that possession impact the next one. That's going to impact the other 4 guys. And you have to turn the page really well. I think Bijan's understands, like, the page has to get turned, because if it doesn't, if it lingers for 2 or 3 possessions, there's going to be a consequence on all of us. And so I do think that he does a good job of making sure that the page gets turned quickly. You could tell he was pretty frustrated about his drive right and ends up in a Rowan Brombaugh steal. And you could tell the frustration, but that stuff can't show on your face. Like, you've got to be able to turn the page, move on to the next thing. And I think that comes with experience, and he has a lot of it.
Coach, how's Justin Hill doing, and what are the chances we see him next time out for you?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, if you'd asked me yesterday, I thought Justin was going to play today, and then this morning he re-aggravated it at the situation there in Florida Atlantic, and I think he still could have played. It was just like, all right, it's precautionary. Today, we're going to be better with Justin. I don't need Justin thinking, and I've told him this, we don't need Justin thinking, well, you're winning without me, so let me sit over here. And I tell players this, you got to understand the difference between being hurt and being injured. It's one thing if you're hurt. You're going to have to play through that. There's just, everybody gets hurt. It's going to happen. Now, if you're injured, that's a different ball game. But we need to make sure that he's not over his injury. But when he gets over his injury, there's going to be some of him playing hurt, and we're going to be a better team with him, and we're going to need him, right? In order to win a conference tournament, you need everybody. You're going to have depth, and we need to get him back on the court as quickly as possible. So, Todd Fagan keeps me pretty updated on where he's at, but I do think he'll be back pretty soon. But you've heard me say that for the last 2 weeks.
What was your view on Xavier's block of that dunk that turned into the Bijan three. How did you see that unfolding, and how pivotal may that have been?
Yeah, one, I saw Harlan go for an offensive rebound. So Harlan goes for an offensive rebound at the end of the first half, gets an and one. He asked at halftime, can he offensive rebound? And I said, you can, but this isn't just trying. Like, numbers have to be produced. And you can look at the stat sheet. He only ended up with one. We said no more, but he goes in on that play, and obviously it's disadvantage basketball. We saw this with X the other day, is we get driven by one of the players, number two, at Florida Atlantic, and he recovers and ends up blocking a shot. But I was mad at myself that I let Harlan go offensive rebound because of the disadvantage, and X just makes a heck of a play. It's a rear view swipe. We actually go over this quite a bit in film. It's something that we practice. We do not want to give guys and ones because you don't try to attempt to make a play on that. So we give guys two options. One's a rear view swipe, the other is running through, and he gets up and makes a heck of a play. And yeah, I mean that's a huge momentum play for them, and then also for us. And fortunately, it didn't cost us that Harlan Beverly was trying to offensive rebound. So I thought there was a lot of pluses out of that play.
There was a moment in the second half where I think it was Harlan at the line. He missed a free throw, but
Yeah.
Ronnie DeGray was able to throw the ball out.
Yeah.
Tulane, you guys got back. It led to a bucket.
Yeah.
How much do those hustle plays illustrate just the intensity that we see from this group?
Yeah, I mean that's Ronnie DeGray. That's just who he is. He's going to give you great effort. He's going to make sure that he sticks his nose in there every play. And there was a time this year where he was would look at the film and be like, "Look, I'm trying," and he reached a point to where I need to get stuff done. Like, trying's not enough, and I think that's a testament to that's getting stuff done. I know it's not going to show up on the stat sheet for anything for him. He shows up with 0 whole boards, but that's a possession, and I think that's a possession where AJ ends up with the three. It may have been a possession where we threw it all the way back to Harlan, and Harlan gets a bucket out of it, but it did translate into an opportunity for us to score.
Coach, how much was the crowd a factor tonight, not only in motivation for your guys out there, but also kind of a distraction for Tulane?
I mean, it's one of the reasons that I attribute our free throw defense. We're second in the country, as if we have anything to do with people missing free throws. I've said this before, but when I was at Baylor, we were number one in the country for a time period. And I remember Jerome Tang, I was kind of laughing at it, and Jerome Tang said, listen, that means we're fouling the right people. And I remember I was like, you know what? There is some credibility to this stat, but for the most part. But I will tell you, I think a lot of our ability, why people miss. I mean, I go back to the Monmouth game here, and it's one of those situations where the Shocker faithful play a huge part. It's a big part of trying to play in an environment like this, especially if you don't see it a lot. And they have a big reason on why somebody goes 10 for 18, because Greg Glenn's better than a 50% free throw shooter.
Coach, just real quick on, everyone sees the wins, from the outward, it looks like, the team's playing really well. From you, I know you're more concerned about the process. From that viewpoint, what stands out to you, like when you look at it through the lens that you guys look at? Is the process still the way you want it to be going?
Yeah, I just don't think that in this, and you've heard me say this, skill is king, and intangibles are supreme. What you can't do is lack fight. If you have players who lack fight, and they're not willing to try to out scrap the other team, you're going to put yourself in a predicament. So you can be minus on the skill side, you have to have the intangible side. And I think guys kind of looked in the mirror and just said, man, we're not putting up the fight that's required in order to really give ourselves a chance. Again, it was a week of bad basketball for USF. But I look back, you have to respond the right way, and it come to find out, that stuff's actually a blessing. You go back through difficult moments and difficult situations. I'm going to quote a Bible verse here. But James, Jesus' half brother, says, "Consider it joy when you undergo various trials." Here's what that means: is trials are not fun by no means. Nobody enjoys getting in shape. But it says you have to think about this, right? You have to consider it, that on the other side, it's going to produce something. I felt like those situations have produced smarter basketball players, more disciplined basketball players, players that are given a lot more fight than what we were earlier, because I felt like we took this stuff for granted. But and there were times where I just thought, man, I feel like this group thinks we're entitled to just coming out here and showing up and we're going to win. And I do feel like those moments kind of was a catalyst to guys digging a little deeper, and it's what you need. Skills are one thing, intangibles are another. And if intangibles aren't paramount, you're not going to find yourself on the right side of the scoreboard. And I think that's what you've seen. Thank you.